show in 2021. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome Yusuf Noor. Now, Yusuf is a keynote speaker on business and leadership. So anybody with teams, this is a must attend session. And Yusuf will be discussing business and leadership development strategies, which will help you and your business achieve more. So without further ado, please welcome to Quantum Show for the first time, Yusuf Noor. Yusuf, welcome.
Thank you. A real pleasure. I'm really excited, privileged to be here, to be among the greats, and share and add some value and share something from business and leadership. It's been a great session, and I'm looking forward to add some more. So my name is Yusuf Noor, leadership and business development coach. I've been around in that industry since I was 16 years old. Been in a retail background, so I spent almost half of my life working in a retail industry and the store development section, and then move into a consultancy and leadership and operational efficiency within organizations. Really enjoyed that, and now on to great things from the last 2 years has been a real challenge navigating the new world of leadership and business and working from home with pajamas. But it's been a great journey, and seeing how the world has transformed and transitioned into a new era. So in terms of leadership, my opinion, my view, when things are easy and when time are certain, and when the direction is clear, it's easy to lead. It's very easy to lead, to be a leader, and things kind of take care of themselves. And sometimes we sit back. But the real leaders and leaders of leaders emerge in industries all the time when things are being strived for, and there's complexity and there's real challenges. And if you think about it in terms of even an example of a plane, why do we pay a pilot the amount of money we pay for a pilot? Is it to manage the part from taking plane off and landing the plane softly? Is it for that reason? Because now we've got autopilot. Or is it to find that complexity and challenge when the turmoil and there's an engine might blow for the passengers that are on the plane? They will feel the great assurance knowing there's someone who's behind that wheel, who knows what they're doing and who's experienced enough to fight those challenges and bring that into safety. So the moral of the story when it comes to leadership, we need people who have been tested in the marketplace, that had the adversity to bounce back and to lead through that challenge. And that's when you real leaders can call themselves leaders and can come out on the other side. So that's what we're going to touch on. So the question is, what is leadership? And that's, every single person you speak to, or every other person you speak to, some sort of has an experience or talks about a leadership terminologies, but there's a lot more complexity to that, because leadership, being a leader comes from fighting those challenges that you grow through. So the process of inspiring others, the definition of leadership, process of inspiring others to work hard, to accomplish very important tasks, because we're in a world where no more authority. I remember 10 years ago when your badge spoke for you, your position spoke for you. Positional leadership has gone now. It's almost where there's an influence and you lead by example, by having people where you're looking after the person on your left and you're looking after the person on your right. And that's really the empathetic type of leadership, and using emotional intelligence and working with your team, really important. I think John Maxwell talks about it really well in the 5 levels of leadership. And this is something I really enjoy listening to and also learning from the years. And he talks about at different levels, from level 1, where people you think should follow you because of your level of position. People follow you because they have to. And that's not the level we want to get to in our organizations, in our businesses. We want a permission level where people follow you because they want to, because they enjoy working for you, because you inspire them to see themselves better than they are. And that's when you really build relationships. Because I remember reading a book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he talked about your life is the product of your values instead of your feelings, and your life is the product of your decisions instead of your conditions. So when people have to follow you because of your level of caring and emotional intelligence, and he talked about people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and that's where the permissional level comes, and that's where the leadership really, really forms. And that's the next level to that is production, because who wants to follow someone who doesn't produce results? People follow you because of what you have done for the organization and what you inspire to do. Your level of skill comes into play, level 3. And level 4 is people development. And that's when people follow you because of what you have done before and what you have done for them. I remember many organizations, when you go back and talk to them and say, hey, how was your last 5 years? They always mention the manager, the leader that gave them the opportunity to be where they are and saw them how they are and how they could be and saw the potential. And if you ever listen to great stories, they always say, I was given a chance. People development, very, very important. And the pinnacle position John Maxwell talks about is people follow you because of who you are and what you have represent, your value, your brand, what you stand for. They say if you don't stand for anything, you fall for anything. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So having that brand and for yourself, something to really stand up for. And that's when now we go to the next level in terms of leadership, which is really, really important. It's personal leadership, self-awareness. You see, they say if you want to know the road ahead, ask the person that's coming back, because they have traveled that journey. So they're self-aware, they're true to their strengths. And that's when your personal leadership comes to play. Ask the right questions. I think there was a book that I've seen by Ray Dalio, The Principle, and he talks about getting organizations, building the great organizations putting together by asking the right questions and having the coming together. But as a leader, you have to first be true to your strength, know your self-awareness, ask the right questions and engage your team, and solidify feedback, because growth comes from obviously learning from yourself and from others, and asking that feedback is really, really important, and committing to lifelong learning. They say leaders are readers, leaders are learners. We have to be constantly learning. I was asked a question once upon a time, and that question was, Yusuf, how do you build confidence? And I said, to build confidence is to learn every day, to know that you're doing something new every day. You're learning something new every day builds your confidence. You're no longer static. You're bringing something new to the marketplace. Really, really important. Another one is a team leadership. Now you got yourself where you need to be, and you're very effective in your time management, your productivity, your results, your emotional intelligence. Now you can bring your value to your team by being positive, developing that vision, because if you're going to lead a team and you're going to lead an organization and you're an entrepreneur, startup organization, you've got to look at the vision. You've got to look at the long term, because what is right now in front of you might not look pretty. So you've got to develop the vision long term. They say the vision is the art of seeing what's invisible to others. So you almost have to paint the vision and say, listen, there's going to be a better days ahead, by leading by example and being inclusive. The world's changing, and we have to be in our organizations. I remember doing a consultancy work a week ago, and I was speaking to a company who said to me, we're looking to build that diversity. We want to have more diverse organization. The best diverse companies are the greatest companies in the world, bringing different skills and different skill sets and different opinions and different ways to lead. So I'm telling you, being inclusive in this time of year and this where we're heading to is the most important thing as a leader within your organization, and managing that negativity and really dealing with those things head on and building your business through that effectiveness. They say there's 5 C's that we have to always consider, the 5 key C's. We have to have a confidence in ourselves and a confidence in our team. And we have to show that we believe in our team. Number 2 is clarity, because they say, if you have clarity, you don't need courage, because clarity pulls you through. It's really, really important as a leader. You paint a clear picture. Your team have clarity. They trust you. They trust your business's vision. Remember, there's a lot of people who rely on their livelihoods in your organizations. They want to feel that there's a clarity ahead. Of course, there's going to be turmoils, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be redirection. But the moral of the story is that as a leader, we have to have that strategic direction and help our team to see the better vision. Build that community. If you see the biggest companies in the world, they have a community feel in their organizations led by the leadership. That's the most important. You have that community feel. You want your organization's great grandchildren to work for you, to work for the business, to develop the business. You have to build that, and competence by working with the team and building their competence, and having the controls in place will automatically come in, because as you have a skillful organization you're going to be your next leaders, they will have the controls and the KPIs, and they develop that. Really, really important. And as we go all the time as leaders, I always say the most important thing is we have to ask the question of vision. What does it mean to you? What do we need to do next? What are we currently do to help ourselves to achieve? What can we do to get things in the way of achieve? What do we do that gets things in the way of achieving? How can we ensure that we work towards our goals? And what external factors stop us achieving? And these are the things that build clarity as well. And it's really, really important as leaders. We need to make sure we ask ourselves those vision questions. Once upon a time, someone looked at the skyscrapers in Canary Wharf, in New York, in London, and they looked at a playing field and built a vision and said, one day there's going to be the biggest tower there. One day there's going to be, someone looked at those visions. And as a leader, that's why we have to always look ahead. Now, when it comes to a category of a leader as your organization in your building, now we have to think about the transactional and the transformational part of your business, of your organization. We have for far too long lived in transactional leadership, where it's a rank, position, compliance, short-term pay and promotion, and it's a really, really micromanage environment. That is not where growth is. The most important thing, we want to have a long-term growth. We need leaders we need people that we invest in. You cannot just expect to harvest something that you have never you can never get things out of that you've never developed. Whatever you put in, you get out. So we need transactional leaders where we look at the character, ethics, leaders of source of power, character, competence. We have always, by far, for a very long time, always looked at the competence of a leader, the skillful and what they can bring, but the character, because success will take you where your character can no longer sustain you. We need leaders who have character, ethics, who are committed to their team, and long-term vision, who have self-esteem, but also less important on supervision. I've looked at models recently where companies are actually trying their best to reduce the level of supervisory in their organizations by empowering their team to lead themselves and make sure that they bring those ideas. I think it's been a very long time the companies like Google and Apple tried these type of formats, but it's really, really important that we become transformational. We trust our teams, we build their character ethics, and we let them. And I think we've learned a lot in 2020 to 2021, where a majority of people were working from home. We've given that time and we really gave them time to be, save the travel and gave them time to be more productive. Now, by doing that, what do we become? We become empathetic leaders that improve your empathy skills by being supportive and listening and understanding your team. What is the best? How can we get a very productive team by making sure that we keep their emotional perspective? Because emotional intelligence is understanding the emotions of yourself and the emotions around you in your team. Now, as I said earlier, your life has to be the product of your values instead of your feelings. If we ever made decisions as leadership based on our feelings, we will always wreck. We will always turn over really, be a real issue for our businesses. We have to be very, very positive, and we really have to help our team see themselves better than they are. Emotional intelligence and being empathetic towards our team is the most important thing we can do as leaders. Now, confident communicators. I remember, doing a consultancy work in terms of communication, and there was a barrier between the mid-management and the leadership. And this is one thing I said: the reason there's not a clarity is because lack of communication leaves space for imagination. If there's no communication, it will always leave for space imagination. We need to take action and responsibility and focus on the courage instead of building fear, because we have far too long leaders have allowed internal politics to get in the way. And when you are really have that clarity and you have a great leadership, you'll be able to build trust and fight through that. So then you become much more empathetic, and you and your team trust you for that. That's when the deep listening, and you as a leader start to have in your organization the 6th level of listening: active listening, attentive, empathetic, spirit. And this is when you have an organization that really listens. Seek first to understand, and then to be understood. You know, when you're building a team and you're a great leader, listening skills are the most important part, because sometimes if you because we always been told as leaders, the one that speaks the most, the ones that delivers the most, are the ones that have the most valuable things to say. I'll talk about it a little bit later on the slide: introvert and extrovert. When you think about that, there are teams in your organization that have great ideas, that can transform your business. Some of the greatest ideas come from people you would never expect to. But that's why we have to have those deep listening, and we have to have those sessions where we encourage our leadership to do that. But the most also important is the non-verbal communication as a leader. Our body language. There was a research done by a Robert it went out of my mind, but there was a research done in communication that showed that body language was one of the most important factors out of 100%. Words and tone and body language, those were the 3 key things that were researched by those 3 kids, the 3 key areas. And body language was 55%. People see the way you are by the way you conduct yourself, your facial expressions, your gestures. I remember attending a leadership meeting, and one of the directors asked his commercial director to put the camera off because he was making facial expression. And by the way, the research that was done was Albert Meharian done a research on communication, and 55% was body language, more important than tone and words. More important than tone and words. That's why it's really, really important that as leaders, we watch our body language. If we huff and puff, if we're on a Zoom call, if we're in front of our team, the way we sit, the way we conduct ourselves is really, really important, because everyone's watching you in your organization. And this is the most important part. I touched on it earlier, that self-awareness and empathy and motivation and self-regulation and social skills those are the key ingredients as a leader to be able to conduct yourself in the right way. I was asked a question recently, and the question was, as a leader, is motivation is important to me? And I said to them, very, very important. How important? I said, motivation is important to get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. Motivation is always what gets you started, because people sometimes don't need motivation. If someone's going down the wrong road, they don't need motivation to speed them up. They need education to turn them around. So it's really, really important that, yes, motivation is necessary, but having that self-discipline as a leader. That's why if you look at most of the great books that were written and most of the government or organizations, that the CEOs usually comes from the background of military, because they're self-disciplined. And if you look at athletes that have the most adverts, that they use the products to advert, they use them athletes to do so because they're disciplined, and the easy comes through, the trust comes through to our staff or the organization. When you're a very disciplined leader, you're able to self-regulate yourself. You have that empathy, self-awareness, and social skills. And that's what really builds a great leader. Now, earlier I touched about introvert and extrovert. I remember, these are always thrown about, but there's also a research that shows that introverts actually are very, very strong leaders. Introverts are very strong leaders, because someone might be sitting now listening to me and saying, okay, Yusuf, I'm a bit shy, I'm not outgoing, I don't, I don't really like presenting in a lot of people to front of a lot of people. Can I still be a great leader? Of course you can. Introverts are known to be one of the best leaders because when you're in an organization and you say the least, when you're in a room, in a meeting, if you speak, everyone listens to you because you only spoke once or twice. Your words and the way that you pushed your idea forward, a lot more people listen to you. So you don't have to be an extrovert. We have great extrovert leaders, but we have also great introvert leaders. So always remember that. And as a leader, it's always important to set SMART goals because you have to be realistic. We've seen this all the time. You've done enough performance reviews at leaders that are listening to me, and those that haven't. SMART goals is really important in everything that you do. It has to be strategic and measurable and attainable and relevant and time bound every time we set goals. And as a leader, you have to set yourself a realistic goal. Yes, we're in the world where think big, achieve big, go, and achieve whatever you want and lead your team and from the front. But sometimes also it has to be realistic and measurable and attainable and relevant and time bound. You can reset it all the time and help your team follow you and understand that, listen, we have to get to these targets first in order to get to the next target. But you have to be able to have those goals. If there's no planning, there's planning to fail. Every single organization, every single leader has a plan. If you have to be able to set those goals and your personal goals and your business goals in order to achieve that. How am I doing for time? Good. So the other thing I wanted to talk about that's really, really important is business, because I've talked about a little bit about leadership, the importance of leadership in business planning. Now, we have a lot of business threats that we would have always in competition overseas and local business and technology enhancements changes, because if you look at Argos, 20 years ago, Argos was the best business model. We were going into a catalog and we were looking at some products and we were getting our pens and drawing on a paper and getting our product on the other side. And then Amazon came around, transformed. You've got Uber came around, transformed. So technologies will always challenge you. As a business, you have to always look for opportunity to enhance your business. The internet has changed the transform of business. Deregulation of energy has transformed. The niche markets are coming now. Vegan businesses are coming up, really, really good. And then increasing customer demand. You look at, I've been in retail for over 13 years. I remember the company I was working for, we never had an online business less than 15 years ago. But the online business of right now is over $1 billion revenue that company is doing. So that tells you that the customer demand increases. The bigger shop formats have changed. Customers want on demand. They want local shops at the front of their flats, the doorsteps, the local areas. So you build that, customer demand changes, the stakeholder pressures changes. So we have to understand as business owners and potential business owners, we have to understand these are the challenges we will face. But awareness is always key, to be aware of these areas. And as your business grows, you build on that. Business presence and ingredients. We have to have credibility in everywhere we go. It's really, really important, because you want to build a business that has the credibility to be able to be visible. So if there's no credibility in your business, you won't be able to carry that on. And also visibility. You have to be able to understand that your business, it might be a back of a garage in your house, but that we have a platform online that doesn't cost much to be visible. So visibility is really important, and personal brand. Yeah, if you have 3 customers, you can still build those personal brand with those 3 customers. Because if you look at the likes of big companies that were built from KFC, from a back of a garden, and so on and so on and so on, these people built this business because of their brand. They knew they can make the best chicken in the world, so they went out there and built that chicken locally. So what I'm trying to say, build your brand. Don't look around what's happening elsewhere. You focus on your tunnel vision. Look straight ahead and stick to your brand. And social capital, yes, your business, as it grows, it will grow into that market and you'll be able to get those shares in big market. But you have to ask yourself vision questions as a business owner. Remember, I talked about leadership questions. You have to ask yourself a vision questions. Number 1, what do I want to achieve? Number 2, will we have to develop new skills to get there as a business owner? Why do I want to do it? What are the benefits for me as a business owner to develop this? What skills and resources would I need in order to make this happen? How will I affect our customers? What will success feel like? You have to visualize. You know, they say if you have eyes, you have sight. If you have eyes, you have sight. If you have insight, if you have imagination, you have insight. So by having that imagination and understanding that, where would I feel? How would it feel when we get there? Really, really important as part of your goal setting. What are the benefits to my staff? Remember, you have to always build the business for the benefits of others. You have to always be a leader for the benefit of others. It's not about you. If it was about you, you would have quit on yourself a long time ago. In life, it's about other people, how you help other people. They say, if you lose your reason why, you lose your way. If you lose your why you do what you do, if you lose it, you lose your way. Really, really important. Look at every big business that you ever seen. There's always a reason why they did it. Really, really important. And that's what we have to really network as an organization, as leaders, networking reason, increasing your profile and being seen, generating business opportunity, and grow and strengthen your community and share solutions and tools. You see, if you look at the biggest businesses, they're the ones that have the most network. I was overhearing earlier, there was a lot of good nuggets that were shared by the great speakers before me about being out there and developing that network and growing your strength. Really, really important. We have so many online networking types: YouTube, LinkedIn, online forums, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. These are places where you can model yourself as a leader, as a business, really stand out. It's a great opportunity. I remember the days where you have to have paid thousands of pounds just to have an access on a 15-second TV advert or a radio or run an advert on newspaper. Now we have the whole net in front of us with millions and millions of people using it. Now, effective sales planning, which is really important as an organization, is we have to gathering data and useful data, questioning yourselves and listening to your team and taking notes and summarizing everything. It's almost you gather your data of where you want to go as a business. And then this is where the sales planning and checklist comes. Number one, sales call agenda to use. We have a lot of businesses right now that do cold calling. Very, very good. We send 1,000 emails, 1,000 calls. We can do that all day long. But the really, really important thing you have to do is you have to have effective questions you have to ask yourself. Open, close questions you have to ask for your clients. There's funnel techniques that you can use. You can go on YouTube and learn so many techniques of how to conduct sales for your business. Active listening and taking notes and summarizing what your customer needs is the most important in these markets. Now, asking for business. We all want an extra business. We all want an extra contract. We all need an extra client, but we must increase the number of customers that we have. I remember the old saying in retail, customers pay our wages. Of course, the more we can do fancy stuff all day long. If you start a business as a leader, all day long we can create. The first thing most business owners do is they get an office. The second thing they do, they decorate and put a couch there. The third thing they do, they put their family pictures there. They get a nice phone line. They get all this fancy stuff. But we haven't had one customer come through the door. We make money in anything we do in business is generated by the more customers you have, the more money you make. So our main focus always will be to increase our customers. And then the average deal size or volume you increase by the value you bring to the marketplace. There was an old saying that you get paid by the value you bring to the marketplace. Now, the average deal frequencies will increase and then the retention of customers. When you look at retail, I'll give you an example in business. You have the big four in retail. 80% of the customers go, they don't stay in one market, one retail company. They go shopping offers. 20% are loyal, our retention to these big four retail companies in UK. But the other 80% are moving around depending on the offers. That's why the average deal size and volume and the deal frequency is really important. But yeah, if you have a niche market, your prices have to stay with your value. But we need to retain our customers. Really, really important. And that's a basic business growth. Number of customers, average size of 1,000, number one. an average deal over frequency of 2, and a turnover of 2,000. This is just an example. Some of you might have much more volume as a business. Some of you who are about to start a business might look at these numbers and say, actually, I can do more than that. But all you have to think is strategically. It doesn't matter how many amount of customers. If you look at Aldi and Marks and Spencer, they have a totally different customer base, different market, different price point. There's still a market share. There's over 5 million businesses in the UK. There's still a market share for all those businesses. But all you have to do is find your position and look after your customers and deliver those values. You have to have a strategic thinking in order for you to do that. Now, what is the strategic pyramid that we look at? Vision, mission, strategic objectives, and activities that we do every day, and strategic outcomes. I'm touching these from my big points because we only have a limited time. But as a business, you have your vision and your mission have to be there. I said earlier, if you lose your why, you lose your way. As a business, we have to have a vision. We have to have a strategic mission. And those objectives need to be achieved every day. And our activities need to match. They say, don't mistake movement for achievement. You know, I've seen a lot of people who are very active within the business, but don't mistake movement for achievement. We need to really be strategic objectives and do the activities, and we want a strategic outcome for it. We want customers that are coming into our business, that we're getting value for money, and then we're retaining those customers. Those are really, really important. And the KPIs aligned to that, the financial, the revenue and the rate and operating profit, the operational performance, customer satisfaction, employee performance. I talked about it earlier with leadership. I'm attaching this together. When you think about great employees, great team, great place to work, very, very empathetic leadership, building a business combined, employee satisfaction index, time to hire, and the average employee that stays with your company. You want to look at, if you're starting a business or you're already a business owner, you want to be looking at 10 to 20, 30 years from now, and you want to be handing out a flower. I was doing work in an NHS hospital about 3-4 weeks ago, and there was a young lady who was retiring after working for NHS for 35 years. I had the privilege to be able to hand the flower and say, and chocolates, and say, thank you very, very much for your hard work. And that's what you want to do. You want to look at your business in the long term, and people that will be retiring from your business that have done a great job for the business. And those transitional models that we're all going through. William Bridges wrote a transitional model that talks about the importance and time, ending and losing and letting it go. And then you've got your neutral zone and a new beginning. Every single time as leaders, we have to find a new level. They say every new level requires a different you. Every new level requires a different you. The businesses that were there 110 years ago are no longer there now because the transition module has changed. I gave you an example of Argos. Argos' business model is no longer visible on the high street. It has to go online. We never thought we were going to have an online delivery with over 60% shoppers going around on Christmas delivering through online. We never thought that was going to happen. It's transition. As a business owners, as leaders, we have to find new beginning. We have to look for new opportunities to break through. You have to, as every single time, we have to develop a new way of thinking. Every new level, there's a new devil also, because there's going to be a challenge. You're going to face those obstacles and challenges. So that's really, really important. And we have to have the practical skills in order to sell. Questions that we have to, when we're selling, example of selling. Number one, what are the goals you want to achieve? What is the biggest challenge you're facing right now? I think there was something that was done earlier before me that talked about a little bit more. When you want to get a client, you have to ask them what the need is. And almost these are the type of questions that you would speak to a client about, or a new contract or a potential customer. What is it costing you in time and money and resources? And what would you be able to, what would be the ideal outcome if we were to help you and support you? Is there anything else that we can talk about today? And it's almost that type of conversation that helps us, either land an opportunity and get a contract or a client or a customer. Either way, these are example questions. And building trust is really important. Ethics, the way we conduct ourselves, bonding and empathy is really, really important in everything we do. Because if everything we do is based on our selfish reasons as a business owner, it will never work. Sometimes I remember looking at companies when they first came in the market, and like Uber, for example, and other taxi companies that gave us £10, £20 voucher in order for us to trial they almost take a free ride. I'm sure all of you remember that. And that's just building trust. It's almost you have to give to get. You almost have to add a value in order to get a client. And sometimes we exchange as a business owners, leaders, we want to exchange money straight away, and it's important. But sometimes we have to add value and build that, bond and have that ethics and support our clients on that. And then we have the very important marketing essentials, understanding who your customers are, what do your customers require, who are their competitors, and what do we know about our marketplace. I've seen a lot of businesses or coaches or entrepreneurs that would approach a client, but they don't know much about the history of the value of the client or their mission. So it's really important to study your client. It's really to understand their mission statement, their vision, what their goals are, what their history is. Really, when you speak to them, they really enjoy it, because I was speaking to a company, Reed, one of the directors from Reed, and I found out prior speaking to Reed that Reed was the first recruitment company in the UK to ever set up a recruitment website in the whole of UK. And it was really, really, I was surprised. I didn't know that, but I shared that. I said, look, I'm really excited that you set the way, and I knew about the customer. I knew what their values were, what their mission was, and what the vision was, and how they were working around that. And that really helped for us to have that develop the relationship. And then extended market mix as well. Sometimes this is slightly coming back to, if you're starting a new business, there's 3 or 4 key things you have to look at: your product, your price, your promotion, and your place. Because as I was explaining to you earlier, in retail is the most dominant companies in the UK right now, and they're always looking to compete on price and promotion. Because if you go to Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco, Marks and Spencer, they all sell milk, bread, and butter. We all have the same products on the shelf, fairly in the similar range. But the massive difference is the prices, the timing of promotions, and that's where the key things. The other part is the people and the processes, how you're able to deliver, the quality of food, physical evidence, the appearance of the shop when you walk in, how it looks, the people. You look at people. There's customer service. There's a monitor company that monitors, measuring mystery customer shopper. They look at that. As a business owner, do you self-regulate your business? Do you have someone looking at your business as a mystery shopper? Are those phone calls happening? It's you have to be able to do that if you're big enough, and you have to have that customer mind, big enough company. And if you can't, then you may do it yourself or get someone else to you look at your business as a customer can come through that journey and see how they help. Market and customer insight is really, really important, because when you think about the customer mindset, the marketing concept means putting the customer first. We always said that customer orientation is part of the customer culture and how that goes through. But the aim of it is that to satisfy the customer's requirement at a profit. Now, the challenge we will face is your profit and your customer satisfaction should always be, there, but your customer satisfaction is very, very important, because that's what drives your long-term profit. So you have to really think about that when it comes to a customer mindset. It's not a one-time transaction. You want it to be an ongoing transaction. You want it to build that long-term relationship, and products, services are produced to meet customer requirement, and that's what you have to do. So customer mindset, the nutshell of it is that you have to get the balance between your customer satisfaction and your profit. That's the key to this slide, particularly the message for me, to everyone. In terms of time management, I'm going to finish this quite quickly. The organization perspective. So if you think about your organization as a customer, from a customer point of view, as an account management, we always have to add value, then target and budget, and strategic objectives. Now, company resources and competition and relationships are really, really important. Those are the 6 organization perspectives on account management, because some of us as business owners might have an account with a business or want to have an account, but the first thing you have to do is add added value. Hey, as a business, we thought, looking at your business, I've seen that you're doing a great things, or I've been watching you. I've seen an area that really excites me. I wanted to add value in this. Would you like me to do a presentation for you and your team? Spend a day with you just to add that value, and that's just going to be a complimentary from our organization. And you're adding value. Then you go with your look at your budget, strategic objectives, and so on. So roles and responsibility of account manager always has to be, you might have an account manager that leads your account, customer service, client relations, meeting targets, and contributing to strategy. And then organization training, setting targets, and setting overall and providing strategy, and providing resources. So I know I'm tight for time. And really, my main goal here was, as important as it is, and we are in ever-changing world right now, and the world that we're in attention economy. Focus is the most biggest currency at the moment. How we get our teams focused. We have social media. We have so much distractions that are happening around the world right now. How can we get our leaders focused to be better leaders, to be empathetic to our teams, and to support them through that difficult journey? How can we have a better workforce that are more productive while at home? Or how can we look at and having hybrid model working from home? If you're one person at home or one business, or you have numerous team members, how can we do that? And the other most important thing as leaders, my message to finish would be, how do we help and monitor our mental health through ourselves and our organizations, and having that first aider, mental health first aider in our organizations? And then how can we turn our business into profits by thinking about, long-term and things that will affect, and how can we be a leading example and lead the change in terms of our business? There's a lot of climate change initiatives at the moment. What can we do if we're a business that has transport or etc.? What can we do to support that? So think about the future, think about the long term, think about your people, think about yourself, and also think about how you can have those great client relationships by adding value. And leaders lead by example, and that's what we have to do. And that's my message for today. I know I'm a bit tight for time, but really enjoyed being able to share some value.
All right, yeah, thanks, Yusuf. So that was a very insightful. So we've got a few minutes to open up for some questions, if any of you have any.
For me, Scott, there was a lot of information. I think I'm going to have to watch the playback 2-3 times to take all that in. There was a lot of information, Yusuf, and appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, particularly the first half, where you focused a lot around leadership. So, Yusuf, from your experience, and it could be someone that you've either worked with, or might be someone more famous or whatever, but who's the best sort of leader that you've come across, and why?
Outside the workplace, someone well known to the public, or personal?
Either or.
That's a very good question. I've come across. I remember when I was 16 years old, I went to walk into a retail shop in Pinner near West London, and handed on my CV to a manager called Trevor Ramusim. He was a store manager in that store, and he has been a great influence in my life, and I've known him since I was 16 years old. I'm 35 now, so he was one of the most greatest leaders I've ever come across personally. He's shown me how to be a gentleman, polite but persistent. That's the word. He's shown me how to be polite but persistent. He made me understand, because when you're young, you're hot-blooded and you're quite aggressive at times, and so he taught me to be gentle, be calculated at times, and always think about the people that you work with. So he was the greatest influence on me. He taught me about personal life as well. He taught me how to be a great human being. He taught me how to, when I leave work, how to conduct myself at home with my family and switch off from work, and how, when I do get to work, make sure that every single day my focus is to help people see themselves better than they are and support my team. So he was the most impactful leader I ever met personally, who supported me through that journey. And I was quite young, and I didn't have my father around at the time. So he became a real model, role model, and a real model. And he also taught me how to dress. He was an exceptional dresser. And he said, your first impression is your passport. So he wore the greatest suits and Rolexes and shiny shoes. And yeah, he was the biggest influence on me.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. I'm gonna try to ask you one question, which is the last advice that you will give to the participants if you have time. Thank you so much. I have a pleasure to meet you in here.
Thank you. Was that a question? Sorry, Mustafa, was that a question?
My question is the last advice that you can give to the participants in here.
Oh, the last. Okay. Thank you, Mustafa.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. The last, one advice I was always given was, my mentor always said to me, the more you know, the slower you go. And it contradicted everything that I ever tried to learn. And he said to me, I asked him why, and he told me to read a book. And that book talked about the journey of 3 key things. And he said, you acquire knowledge, you organize knowledge, and you become an expert and apply the knowledge. So he said, don't sit on it. The more you know, the slower you go. He gave me an example of the F1 cars. He said they don't fuel up to the full in order to race. You almost have to be on your feet, he said, and learn as you go. So he asked me everything. The advice I would give you, Mustafa, and the team is, every time you embark on learning something new, always understand that you acquire the knowledge, but you have to organize the knowledge. Then you have to apply the knowledge. So organizing, meaning I have a book at home, and every day that I learn something new, I put 3 key nuggets in there. And what happens, I refer back to and I teach someone. Then automatically that helps me do is that I've already acquired it. Now I've organized it. It's in a book. Then I taught it. So then it becomes a natural way to learn. And you take action with it. So that's what I would advise. I know we're all searching for knowledge and it's sitting everywhere, but please do that. That would be a real way to learn something effective for you.
thank you so much.
You're
Oh, then off the back of that question, then Yusuf, what would you'd say has been the most influential book that you've read that you could recommend our viewers here to read?
Yes, so that's a really good question, Scott. The most influential book on me personally, which is a business book or a personal book, leadership, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Steve Conway, if I can remember if I said his name correctly. I read that book about 7 times, went back on it, and I think some of the things I mentioned earlier, that your life is the product of your values instead of your feelings, and your life is the product of your decisions instead of your conditions. So it came from that book. It talks about how to synergize 7 key areas in life. It talks about think win-win, be productive, proactive in life as well, synergize with your team, always sharpen the sword, meaning that always learn something new, and so on. There's 7 key things that are in that book that gives you different chapters that talks about, as a person, how to be effective so that you can be effective on others. They say, and that's the most influential book that I read, and that's really helped a lot.
Brilliant. And you said it was written by Steve Conway, did you say?
Yeah.
Cool.
If I'm correct.
All right, and just conscious of time, so are there any other questions that we have for Yusuf? No, that's all. Okay. Well, thank you very much for presenting here. We've recorded this, so we'll also be playing this back and putting this up on our channels for others to come back and watch during their own leisure. It's been a pleasure having you on here.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege.
Very much.
Okay.
Yusuf.